What if I told you your suffering is not an accident, that the pain you feel, the despair, the endless battles inside your mind are not signs that something is wrong with you, but signs that you are alive? Think about it. Every single day you wrestle with invisible burdens, the quiet dread of waking up to repeat the same routine, the shame of never being enough, the fear of being forgotten, the subtle ache that no achievement, no relationship, no distraction ever seems to heal. You know this feeling. You carry it like a shadow that no light ever fully erases. And you've probably asked yourself, why? Why do we suffer? Why does life demand so much pain just to keep going? Nietzsche had an answer. But it isn't comforting. It isn't soft or soothing. It's raw, brutal, and, if you're willing to face it, transformative. Let's step back. Imagine humanity thousands of years ago. Life was short, cruel, uncertain. Survival meant hunger, violence, and fear. And yet, from those struggles, our ancestors forged meaning. They created gods, rituals, myths, stories to make sense of the unbearable. But Nietzsche looked at modern humanity and saw something different. He saw that we had killed those old gods. Science, reason, modernity, they stripped away the myths that once made suffering tolerable. What's left, he said, is a terrifying emptiness, a void. He called it nihilism, the sense that nothing has meaning, that all our striving is for nothing. And out of this void arises our suffering. Not just physical pain, but the deeper, more haunting kind, the suffering of purposelessness. Have you ever noticed how the smallest setbacks feel unbearable? How rejection, loneliness, or boredom feel like they crush you from the inside? It's not because humans today are weaker than before. It's because we've lost the framework that gave suffering a place in the story of life. Nietzsche understood this. He wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." In other words, pain becomes intolerable only when it feels meaningless. Think of an athlete pushing through grueling training, or a parent enduring sleepless nights for a child, or a soldier surviving in the mud of war. They suffer, but the suffering becomes fuel, a sacrifice towards something higher. What breaks us is not pain itself, but the sense that our pain has no purpose. Nietzsche didn't stop there. He believed that suffering was not just unavoidable, but essential. He called it the raw material of growth. Without struggle, there is no strength. Without loss, no appreciation. Without suffering, no transformation. He imagined the Übermensch, the overman, a person who doesn't escape suffering, but embraces it, even wills it. Someone who says yes to life in all its brutality and beauty. Uncomfortable truth. Nietzsche believed that we secretly crave suffering, not the shallow kind, like inconvenience or annoyance, but deep, bone-shattering suffering. Because only in the furnace of pain do we become something more. Let's test this idea. Think back to a time you suffered deeply. Maybe heartbreak, maybe failure, maybe the death of someone you loved. At the time, it felt unbearable, endless. But looking back, didn't it also change you? Didn't it strip away illusions, harden your resolve, or open your eyes in ways comfort never could? Now ask yourself, would you erase that suffering if it meant losing what it gave you? That's Nietzsche's point. We curse suffering, but it's the chisel that carves our character. Without it, we remain unshaped stone. But here's where it gets darker. Nietzsche saw that most people run from this truth. Instead of embracing suffering, we numb it. We distract ourselves with entertainment, comfort, endless consumption. We escape into ideologies, into false certainties, into anything that shields us from the chaos of life. He warned that this path leads to the last man, a creature of comfort, shallow pleasures, and safety. The last man avoids pain at all costs, but in doing so, loses greatness, loses depth, loses life itself. And here's the twist. The more we run from suffering, the more meaningless it becomes. In trying to erase pain, we erase the very possibility of transformation. So what do we do? Nietzsche's answer was radical. Amor fati, the love of fate. Not just to endure suffering, but to embrace it as necessary, even to love it. To look at every hardship, every heartbreak, every humiliation, and say, this too is part of my becoming. It's a terrifying idea, but also liberating. Imagine if you stopped asking, why me? And instead asked, what is this pain trying to shape in me? Imagine if instead of wishing your suffering away, you welcomed it as the fire that forges who you are meant to be. Of course, this isn't easy. Our instincts resist it. Everything in us wants relief. But Nietzsche challenges us. If life is suffering and you reject suffering, aren't you rejecting life itself? He invites us to a deeper courage, to say yes to existence, not selectively, not only to the joy, but to the whole of it, the joy and the despair, the beauty and the horror. Because maybe, just maybe, our suffering is the price we pay to be fully human. Let me leave you with this thought. What if your suffering isn't proof that something's wrong with your life, but proof that you're alive, that you're still becoming, still unfinished? Nietzsche would say, don't waste your pain, don't numb it, don't hide from it. Let it burn you into something greater. The real tragedy is not that we suffer. The real tragedy is to suffer and learn nothing. So ask yourself, will you run from your suffering, or will you use it as fuel to go beyond being? The choice is yours.